Okay, good morning. I got most everything working. For some reason, my FPS VR isn't running. I'm not so sure. I had a little trouble getting my OVR toolkit to work, but all looks good so far. So looking good. Alrighty. So the make sure everything looks like it's working. Yeah, everything looks good. Oh, of course, telephone has to ring. Love it. And I'll wait for it to ring through here. All right, come on. So, kind of the goal of today is I created a couple of new joy files for the HP Reverb G2, and basically, so what I did is I went into I have an empty clean X-Plane 11.51 beta 2. I have a clean version of that, so basically that's what I've been kind of playing to work on getting the controllers to work. And so I went ahead and in that copy I went ahead and renamed the WMR underscore left and right to dot joy underscore back on both of them, so they won't so they're not being used. And I'm using my new the new joy files that I created for the for these controllers to get them to play a lot excuse me, to play a lot nicer with X-Plane. So I've basically just booted into X-Plane, and that, so we're right in the holodeck right now. I have so we're just right here. So these controllers, once I had those files, and this is the very first boot of this after I deleted the joystick configuration file, this is how it's going to show up. So these joysticks are working right now. So if I want to go around the holodeck here, around the hangar, I can absolutely do that. And if I want to go back to the easel, if I click on the upper of the two buttons, if I click on that button, that'll take me right back. So it's just like me hitting the menu button. So if I go over to settings, so I'll click on settings, and you can see, let me see. Nope. So for some reason, this says right, but if you can see, I'm down the right, but nothing shows up here. So if I use the left, that works. So for some reason, don't know why, this gets confused. In other words, it says it's the right controller, and actually, if I go over, but as far as Steam's concerned, this is the left controller, but X-Plane is thinking it's the right controller. But more importantly, everything here is populated. So in other words, if I the trigger's populated, the accesses are populated, the buttons are populated. So if I click on the upper button, that's the menu button. Let me move this out of the way a little bit. So that's the upper button. The lower button does nothing. On the thumb pad, if I push that down, that's that button there. And the trigger shows up. So all of this, I didn't do anything. It's all populated from this joy file, from this HP Reverb G2, right? From that joy file, that automatically populated all that. I didn't have to touch anything, and that's how it's supposed to work. That's how it's supposed to work for any new headset, joystick. If you have a joy file particular for that, this is how it should work. It all should be automatically populated. But the only thing, like when you come in, you're going to get this. So it'll say uncalibrated device. So I'm going to go ahead and click on calibrate now. And you can see, so access 1 and 2 are none. 3 is the trigger, 4 is the touchpad. So if I use the trigger, okay, that one's calibrated. So I'm going to use on the thumbstick back and forth. Then that's all good. All of that is calibrated. So if I go ignore access, and ignore access. Click next. And I'm going to let go of my controller, so I'll just click on next. Let it do its thing. Done. So I'll click on finish. Then I'm going to go to the left one. So we'll do the same thing on the left one. Calibrate now. A trigger. Make sure you do that good. Okay. And then ignore access. Ignore access. Ignore access. Next. Next. So finish. So all of this is all good. There is no if I had something that wasn't right over in this area here, it would give me an error. So we're gonna jump over into the cockpit. So I'll just click on done. And new flight. I'm gonna be in the Skyhawk. So I'll oops, I didn't want that button. Just checking the progress here. Okay. So go back, return the game. So I'm in the cockpit. So if I click on the upper of the 2 buttons, that's going to show the flower. And if I go get in cockpit seat, that'll get me a little bit, and I'm still not quite right. I'm just trying to get myself lined up with my desk. Yeah, that's better. So it's still skewed a little bit, but we'll go with that. But everything in here is working. So the menu works. And you can see if I go to the different places, the joystick points to them. And so if I wanted to go to flight configuration and I pull down on the trigger, I'm back to here. So I'm going to go back and resume flight. And one of the people on the org was having problems where they couldn't get outside the cockpit. So if I take on my thumbstick and I shove it out and put the pointer outside the airplane, I'm going to go outside the airplane so I can go roaming around. Let's go over and check this car out over here. Oops. There it is. So I'm out here kind of in the middle of nowhere. Actually, I'm going to go outside the fence. Oh, clear over here. Way over here. So I want to get back in the cockpit. I click on the top button and the menu, the button I have mapped to menu. And if I go get in pilot seat and I pull down on the trigger, I'm back in the cockpit. So all of that stuff is absolutely working. There is other than the left and the right controller being reversed. In other words, and a good example, let me where do I want to go first? Because that's an issue. If this lower button, I normally have it mapped to something that I want to use. I have a couple of applications that I want to use that button to do it. And when they're reversed, if I click on the right-hand one, the application that actually is mapped to the left-hand one is the one that's going to work. And so that's a little bit confusing. I did send an email to Ben this morning kind of kind of describing like what I've done. I sent him a copy of my Joy files, and kind of explain to him like where I'm at, trying to help as much as I can on how this is working right now. And quite frankly, this is working fairly well. My new Joy file is doing exactly kind of what I wanted to do. So I'm going to right now I'm going to use the little button over to the left, and I'm going to click over here on settings. And so that took me back into this. And if I go to controllers, manage controller bindings. I'm going to click on show bindings on the controller. Okay. So this basically shows you like how I have my controllers mapped. So up at the top here, it's the trigger. So if I click on the trigger button, you can see where it says pull, click. That's all working. And so the next one would be the right A button. And so if I push down on the A button, you can see I pushed it down. And so that's the A button. So if I go up to the upper one, I push the B button. And if I push down on the thumbstick, you can see where it says joystick click. And let me think. So, and if I move the thumbstick forward, backwards, left and right, up, down, left and right, you can see that shows up there. And also the grip button. So the grip button right now, I have it mapped to right grip button. And right now in X-Plane, I don't have that doing really anything. So now over on the right hand, that's kind of weird. Over on the right hand side, it basically is exactly the same. Just with on the left hand side, it's basically the same thing. So trigger button. And here it says left A button, but they're X and Y. But so I gotta look. So the bottom one would be the A button. The upper one is the and there it says right there. It says Y button. We'll see what this says. Yeah. So it says left button, X button, click. So down. And same way as if I push down on the trackpad, you can see it's clicking. So if I pull it down, push it up, left and right, and the same way grip button. And it says left grip button, click. So that's basically how I have my controllers, the bindings in, SteamVR. So if I go over to edit this binding, and so we're saying manage controller bindings for X-Plane. To get to this place, X-Plane has to be running. And so we're on active controller. And so I'm going to click on edit binding, and it goes ahead and it basically this is basically where you set all of these. So the only thing that's kind of important on this particular on the valve end on the HP Reverb G2, this emulated trackpad, I have it disabled. So I basically put it in a trash can. So basically this does not work. And I've done that both on the left and on the right touch controllers. The reason I did that is, if you can see, there is no trackpad here. There's a joystick, but there's no trackpad. So basically, by putting that in the trash can, that basically disables it. And if you have to make any changes, so if I go clear down to the bottom here, you'll see the grip button. So grip, click, right grip button. So that's basically how I have this configured. When you're all done, you click on Save Personal Bindings, and then I think there's another Save button that pops up after that. You have to click on that too. Then what that does is, so that saves it, so that whenever you start up, whenever you start up X-Plane, it will apply these bindings to your controllers for X-Plane. And it is related to, let me back out a little bit. Yeah, it's related to this. So in other words, if you have X-Plane by a different name, then those bindings, you'll have to redo the bindings for that name. In this particular case, it's X-Plane. So, 'cause I think mine's like Xplane.exe. But if you like named it something different, then you'll have to do the bindings for that particular X-Plane. Because I remember every once in a while, I'll be running a test version, and I'll go to use it, and the bindings aren't working right. Well, that's why is that I hadn't set those bindings for that particular version of X-Plane. So we're going to go back. So it should take me back. Return to game. And I can look at the controller bindings here also. That's just a different way. Just a different way to show bindings on controller. It's just a different way to get to the same place. So close. And do not click on this. It seems to break things. So this test controller, don't use it. It's there's something wrong with it. And I don't like to break when I'm streaming. I don't like to break things. So we return to the game. So I'm back in the cockpit, and so I'm gonna go do something that I like a little bit better. If you notice, when I have the menu on, you notice that in the center of the joystick button, it's got a dark circle in the middle of it. When I turn it off, it's gone. Well, I'm going to make it so that when I push down on this, because it's doing nothing right now, I want to make it when I push down on this, I actually, it's the same as pushing the B button. Let me check. Yeah, so right now, I just wanted to go back and make sure I get the letters right. Right now, I have the B button set up to the menu button. So what I want to do is I want to make it so the button on the thumbstick, I want to make it do the same thing. So I'm going to click on close, return the game. So I click on the B button, light configuration. And this happens sometimes when you come over into the holodeck. Every once in a while, when I hit on the trigger, the green laser doesn't turn on. It does after a period of time, but it doesn't immediately. So if it ain't working, nothing else is going to be working. So let me click on left. So right now, this is mapped to reserve VR thumbstick touchpad button. Well, maybe map to that, but that's not what I wanted to do. I want to do something different. So I'm going to click on edit, and I'm going to click on VR. So we got a whole bunch of reserved. Right now, that's where it is. I want it to be the menu button. So I'm going to click on apply, and alrighty, so I want to do the same thing with the other one. Right. So I click on edit. VR. Click on menu button. And so when I select this, it says missing essential VR button reserved. VR thumbstick touchpad button. That doesn't really seem to be essential. So I'm going to click on apply. Done. And so here it says that, you know, and basically that's true because I'm going to hit ignore. Actually, I'm going to click on ignore. Let me go back to the joystick. Okay. So that is absolutely true because no place do I have this Reverb VR thumbstick touchpad button mapped, because I want it where I have it. So I'm just going to click on done, ignore, resume play. So over in the cockpit again. So now if I push down on the thumbstick, now when I push down on the thumbstick, just like if I clicked on the menu button, the B button, the menu shows up. So if I do the same thing with the thumbstick, to me it's much more intuitive, you know, that I'm going to be using this to select something. So if I use the button on that thumbstick, then I come over and I can select things. So to me it's more intuitive. And so I did that on this one. If I know what I'm doing here, it'll work the same way on this one here. So I just think that's a much it's a better mapping. It's a better mapping. So and also what it gives me is that if I go back over to here. So basically on this controller, I have 3 buttons that do nothing. All right. So the grip button, wrong controller. So I have the grip button do nothing. I have the A button do nothing. And button 1, I got no idea what that button is. I have no idea where on the controller that button would be. I just don't know because I can't find it. But you know, so but the point is that so the A button and the grip button, you can kind of map that to do whatever you want. In my case, I have a couple of plugins. One of the plugins I use absolutely in VR is called Plane Command. So Plane Command can work 2 different ways. The one way it can work is you can give it a vocal command that'll basically tell it to start listening. My history with that is that it's kind of it's hit and miss. So I'd rather use a button and to do that. So basically I map, like, say, the A button to so when I hold down the A button, it basically Plane Command starts listening. So if I push down on the A button, I would instead of doing nothing, I would have the Plane Command listen command. I would have that right here, so that it will go ahead and let me get this straightened up a little bit. So yeah, so if I push down on the A button, I would have Plane Command start listening. So and the other, so that's what I do normally on my right hand controller. On my left hand controller, I have written a plugin called Button to Command, and basically that plugin is basically a whole bunch of windows that basically you have buttons on it that do commands. So it's kind of like this a little bit, you know, where all these, so like on every page, I think there's 12 buttons. So each one of them buttons can do something, can do a command. So it's just great, like for in VR, you know. I did it before. Had Plane Command working too well in VR. Basically, that was one of the first plugins actually I wrote for VR was exactly that. And so because on your touch controllers, you only have so many buttons. They're just you only have a few buttons that you can use. So it basically was a method where I could make it have, I could basically have that. So it's kind of like a whole bunch of pages of buttons. So I think I can't remember where I'm at right now, 8 or 12 different pages of buttons. And each one of them, each button can be a separate command. So you can do like all kinds of things. So, so that's basically what I normally have my spare, my free do not, the buttons that say do nothing, that I can see the touch controller do something. I know I'll map one of them to do those kind of things. And like plain command allows you to basically you're doing everything with voice. So you can have now in the one of the later versions you can originally you couldn't have custom commands, but now we have custom commands, so that helps tremendously as to what's possible. So okie dokie. So let me kind of see where I am right here. Yeah. Yeah, so even though I don't have the my grip button to do anything in X-Plane in OVR Toolkit, you use the grip button to grab a hold of things and move them around. So so even though the button is mapped in SteamVR, that allows me to do those kind of things. But trying to think here. Yeah. So let me see if I can do that. I'll be right back. Yeah, I'm not so sure how well this is coming over. It's just kind of hard to judge. But basically, this is my HP Reverb G2 left joy file, and let me see. Maybe that's a better way to do it. I don't know if I can bring this closer to me. We'll say it's good enough. So basically, this ID here, this is kind of how X-Plane knows the particular controller. So you have a -1 and a -0, and then this display Reverb G2 left. That's basically what you're seeing in the joystick file. So I've kind of like modified this from the original. And so you have configuration group, and this is a thumbstick because this is a thumbstick. And then the axes are back in the joystick and the the settings joystick, you'll see that that was axis 3 and 4. The button used for the touchpad, for the thumbstick, is 3. So you have, I'm going to use the X and the Y. Type is centerable. Centerable is because it's a thumbstick. And calibration is auto. And so the other direction is Y. Centerable, auto, same thing. And this is just basically a comment. And then we have button 3. So down here it's trigger. So trigger is axis. And if you remembered back in the settings joystick, the trigger was up above. So you have 2, 3, and 4 axis being used. In this case, the type is linear because it is it doesn't have a center to it, so it's linear. But the calibration is also auto. And the button is when you pull in on the trigger, it doesn't immediately say it's selected. You're in about halfway. The trigger's in about halfway before this button will say it's turned on. And then the menu, so the top button, if you remember on the buttons, one way up at the top, that's the one that I have mapped to B. So this is kind of like basically how I modified the this joy file to get it to work. And then what I did is I basically by adding a underscore back to the original files, the RM Windows Mixed Reality WMR underscore left and right, I put an underscore back at the end of them so they wouldn't be they would not be executed. So we'll go ahead and close this guy out. Put this back about where he was. And then we'll go back to return the game. Put this out of the way. Yeah, and like I said, so that's where you can see the button 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's kind of how those get originally populated. So, but as you can see right now, I've changed this one. You know, so instead of saying the thumbstick, now it says the VR menu. So this one and this one are the same. So I could basically change this and say I could just make it to do something different. In other words, I could make it do nothing, or I could basically have it for a different command as opposed to the menu command. Since I already have it here, there's no reason I need it. So we'll go back. I'll click on done. Yeah, and as you can see, even though it says that it's missing essential, it doesn't seem to make any difference. So I'm back in the aircraft, and so if I push down on the thumbstick and light this up and then hit on the trigger, then it's going to basically reorient. And there are some there's a plugin called VR Tools. VR Tools allows me to set my position in the VR cockpit here. So normally I would be, the cockpit would be shoved closer to me, would be pulled in by, let me think here. Okay, so that's my monitor right there. And so normally that VR cockpit would be about that far. So I need to pull it back about that far. I also need to move myself down in the cockpit so that when I look to the left or to the right, I can see underneath the wings. Because right now, part of my view is being blocked by the door, by the upper part of the side of the fuselage here, and so those are things, you know, and when you bring the instrument panel closer to you, it also makes it more readable. But quite frankly, the readability with this headset is even in these positions is like stunning. The other thing is that I normally wear glasses. I'm nearsighted, and so and I always thought that you could kind of get away with not wearing glasses because I'm nearsighted. But actually the headsets are set up to be, I think it's 1 or 3 meters. It's kind of where the headset is, kind of where its focal range is. So that means that's far enough out of my normal vision where I can't where things would be fuzzy for me. And but what I've found with this one is actually it's not as bad as my on my valve index. There was no way I could wear it without glasses. I just couldn't. But this one here, I didn't want to. I was a little worried about the clearance. It looks like the clearance is big enough it wouldn't matter, but I was a little worried about the clearance. So I've been all my testing has been done without me wearing my my glasses. And but what I did do is I did order some as soon as they were available. I ordered some lens adapters, just like what I have for my valve index, and so that way it will it should improve even more so as to the readability. But quite frankly, I mean, I got no problem. I just cannot believe like how nice this looks in here. I mean, I just can't believe like this really looks quite nice. So, but oops, one of my controllers went to sleep. Hello? Yeah, got to figure out why my FPS VR didn't start. I had some problems getting things rolling, so it may have been related to that. But so I think I'm pretty happy. So I showed how to map it so that you can use the thumbstick, you know, as opposed to the menu button. And so to one of the complaints was couldn't go outside. So certainly can go outside, and you don't need to use any buttons, nothing. Just the thumbstick. Just shove the thumbstick forward. Basically, it puts the old beam out there, and basically you're gonna go wherever I put this. That's where I'm gonna go. So I'm gonna get right next to that building. So you also notice there's this red thing here. The red thing tells you which direction you're gonna go. So I'm going to put myself right here, and I should be looking away from the building. Should be at my back. Yep, the building's back here. If I turn, yep, there it is. Turn like this. Yep, it's right there. So it allows you to kind of control in what direction. A lot of times when I'm going out this far, I can't see it, so you just get there and then kind of figure out where you're going. So if I want to get back to the cockpit, basically I hit the button on the thumbstick, shove the joystick forward so that the get in pilot seat is lit, trigger. I'm back in the cockpit. And once you have your position readjusted, it will retain that. So when you come back in the cockpit from someplace else, actually let me pop out of here. I can actually show a little bit of that. Hello. Okay. So if you look here, you see those blue things? Those are basically the hot spots in the plane. So if I pop in here, I'll be in the back I'll be in the back seat on the left-hand side. Back seat, left-hand side. And you can actually see them. See that? There's one here, so I go over here. If I want to go that one, I can go there. So you can see it over here. And when you do that, you normally kind of get a little screwed up a little bit. So I'm gonna. So actually, if instead of looking at that, I basically look straight ahead. So I basically place myself where I want to be in the physical. I should land up right there, yeah. So basically what I was doing is, as opposed to looking at where that round circle was, I was basically looking on my desk right straight ahead. So once I let go of that, then that basically put me. So my desk is straight in front of me, and so it lined up that physical position with the virtual cockpit. So it lined those two up. And this is all kind of weird because I'm so close to the monitor that a lot of this stuff, like right there, that's my desk. Where when I have my yoke, my actual yoke on my desk, I'm back further. So I would actually be. So the yoke's gonna be here. Yeah, I would be somewhere's around here. I'm gonna let go of that. Yeah, so that's where my belly is. So I'm quite a bit. This cockpit, when I get everything set up right, it's going to be pulled back quite a bit to me. But even at this distance, I can clearly see there's a 15, a 12, a W, a 24, 21. They are clear. And I mean, I am like way. I mean, you think about how you set in a real airplane. So I have the yoke pulled back as far as it goes. So that's all the way back. And in a real airplane, that yoke's going to be pretty close to where your belly is. Depending on how big your belly is. But you want to be able to get that yoke all the way back. And like I said, I am long here, belly. I am a long ways away from there. But even that far back, because you're not looking through the window this way. You're looking through the more like this part of the window is normally what you're looking at. But even at this position, clearly, when you get like into some of these numbers here, like on this stuff here, yeah, that's pretty tough to read right at this dimension. But the 6-pack, no, that's the 6-pack and the and these guys, all readable. It's not. It would be no issue. And like I said, I am way far away from where I normally would be setting in a real airplane. And that's really what it is. I've been using VR for approaching 3 years now. The very, very, very most important part of getting VR set up correctly is getting yourself physically in the cockpit, just like you would be in a real airplane. In other words, that cowling over there, that's too much. Should be down. You should see just a little bit of that cowling. You shouldn't see that much of it. You're too far up in the air. Same way when you look out here, you're looking into this up above the door. Nah, that ain't the way. That ain't correct. That ain't correct at all. And so it needs to be going. I need to shove this down. So, and when everything is in the right place, I basically set up my yoke in this respect. where the shaft comes out of the body of the yoke. I want the face of that, where it comes out, like it would be here. So this would be the face of your physical yoke. I want that to be a little bit behind this virtual cockpit, just a little bit behind it. And if you do that, then what's in your way? So in other words, if I come down here, like right now, there's a desk here that's in front of me. I can't really get to these switches. You can actually watch the controller kind of losing grip with reality because I'm underneath the desk. So it's having a hard time tracking. So to get to those switches, you can't. But if you adjust your virtual cockpit correctly, so that physical hardware is right here, then where it's mounted to the desk, you're going to be outside of that. So there's nothing in your way. So you are outside of any of those restrictions, and you can hit all of the switches without any effort whatsoever. So the only thing your controller may collide with is the physical yoke, the shaft, the yoke. It may collide with that, but quite frankly, you're not going to be here. You're going to be underneath, and so once it's adjusted correctly, it's a non-issue. It really. I was a little concerned of whether I could get. I have a Wheel Stand Pro, and when I started using VR, I bought that Wheel Stand Pro for that reason, is to get away from the desk. But I have figured out how to get everything mounted correctly on the desk, where it is now. It's a non-issue. And I also run when I'm using my valve index, I run three lighthouses, and that I've already figured out how to get that to work. So basically, these controllers, I won't be for a daily driver. I won't be using these controllers. So I'll be using my valve index controllers for a daily driver. So, but I just wanted to kind of use my kind of expertise in getting new headsets and their controllers up and running. I just wanted to kind of spend some time with my with the expertise that I have doing this on a few other new headsets across the time that I've been using VR, and helping other people just get to get it up and running. And that's kind of what I wanted to do today. It was hopefully there's a little less rambling and a lot more actual instruction value, I guess. And but I think I've kind of got accomplished what I wanted to, and we'll kind of go from there. But sounds good. To anybody who watches in the past, in the future, have a great day, and we'll within a few days I'll take this. I'll take the VOD of this and shove it over on YouTube. So I think I covered pretty much everything that I wanted to do. So yeah, and there's something else I wanted to